And from now until liftoff, we will be monitoring the countdown net, the primary circuit used by the SpaceX launch team during the terminal count. Again, weather remains go. All the milestones have been occurring as expected. Next major milestone at T-minus 2 minutes 55 seconds will be the thrust vector control checkout that we were talking about. The Falcon 9 rocket stands atop its launch pad at Space Launch Complex 40 on Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, ready to make its first flight of the year. Gaseous oxygen is venting from both the first and second stages of the Falcon 9 rocket. T-minus 3 minutes and counting.
Stage 1 LOX load closed out.
First stage of the Falcon 9 rocket liquid oxygen system loading has closed out. Again, as Josh mentioned, RP-1 fuel is aboard both the first and second stages. The oxidizer aboard both stages is liquid oxygen.
Vehicles transitioning to internal power. Stage 2 LOX load closed out.
T-minus 2 minutes and counting. Stage 2 LOX closeout has occurred. The autonomous flight termination system will be verified ready for launch at T-minus 1 minute, 5 seconds. Everything proceeding toward our liftoff at 10:36 a.m. Eastern Time.
AFTS is ready for launch.
And the autonomous flight termination system is ready for launch.
F9 is in startup.
Falcon 9 rocket is in startup mode.
LD is go for launch.
Launch Director John Murator gives his final go for launch. T-minus 48 seconds and counting. Terminal count begins in 5 seconds. The pad water deluge system will be activated at T-minus 18 seconds.
30 seconds and counting.
The main engine controller will command the engine sequence start 3 seconds away from liftoff. T-minus 20 seconds.
Stage 1 pressing for flight. T-minus 15. Minus 10,
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And liftoff of the Falcon 9 rocket and Dragon spacecraft, filled with science and supplies for humanity's research outpost in low Earth orbit, the International Space Station.
SpaceX ascent commentary will be performed by several people. The propulsion engineer calls out propulsion events. The avionics engineer calls out avionics health and Dragon separation. The range coordinator calls out Air Force satellite control network acquisition and loss of signal. And the ground station specialist calls out the SpaceX antenna acquisition and loss of signal.
At 1 minute 5 seconds after liftoff, Falcon 9 reaches transonic speed. The vehicle will pass through an area of maximum dynamic pressure, known as max Q, at 1 minute 18 seconds after liftoff. This is the point where mechanical stress on the rocket reaches its peak because of the rocket's velocity and resistance created by Earth's atmosphere.
Around 2 minutes 24 seconds into the flight, the 9 Merlin engines will sequentially shut down and you'll hear the call MECO, which is main engine cutoff. This first stage will perform a boost back burn about 15 seconds later, heading back to nearby Cape Canaveral Air Force Station Landing Zone 1. We'll show you the landing on NASA TV about 8 minutes after launch, accompanied by the sonic boom just before landing.
Evac engine chill has started.
One minute, 50 seconds into the flight of Falcon, carrying Dragon toward the International Space Station. Standing by for main engine cutoff.
We have Miko.
And we have MECO, main engine cutoff. All 9 Falcon 9 engines have shut down as planned.
Confirmed.
And the first and second stages have separated as planned.
7
Dispatch
seconds after
startup.
separation, the
have
second
evacuation.
stage's single Merlin vacuum engine ignites to begin a 6.5-minute burn that brings Dragon into low Earth orbit.
Rocket.
The engines produce 210,000 pounds of thrust. At 3 minutes, 4 seconds into flight, Dragon's protective nose cone, which covers Dragon's berthing mechanism, will be jettisoned.
Three minutes, 8 seconds into flight.
Boost back burn shut down.
And the first stage boost back burn has shut down as expected. Second stage carrying Dragon continues on its way toward the International Space Station. Four minutes, 10 seconds after launch, the first stage apogee has been reached, its highest point of orbit. Everything continues normally with the second stage carrying Dragon. First stage entry burn is scheduled to begin 6 minutes, 23 seconds after launch, about 10:42 a.m.
Acquisition of signal Bermuda.
New Hampshire, acquisition of signal.
The New Hampshire tracking site acquires the second stage in Dragon. Meanwhile, you're watching live coverage of the first stage of the Falcon heading back toward Cape Canaveral Air Force Station Landing Zone 1. 5 minutes, 31 seconds after launch. About 30 seconds away from the first stage entry burn.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
And stage 1 entry burn is underway. It's a burn of about 10 seconds.
Stage 1 entry burn shut down.
Falcon 9 first stage headed back toward Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, where it launched 6 minutes, 37 seconds ago.
Stage 2 performance nominal.
Everything going well with stage 2 carrying Dragon to the
Stage 1 AFTS has saved.
International Space Station.
Stage 1 is transonic.
Stage 1 is past the speed of sound. It's now subsonic.
Landing burn startup.
Landing burn underway. First stage landing legs will be deployed shortly. And a sonic boom passes across the Florida Space Coast as the Falcon 9 first stage makes a pinpoint landing back at landing zone 1 at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station.
LZ1, the F9 has landed. Landing operators proceed to procedure 11.100, section 3 on LZ1 net.
Meanwhile, in space, stage 2 of the Falcon 9 continues to carry the Dragon spacecraft. We're 8 minutes, 12 seconds after launch. Less than a minute away from second stage engine cutoff. That's scheduled for a mission elapsed time,
OSM LD on countdown.
9 minutes, 5 seconds.
Copy.
"30 seconds away from second stage engine cutoff.
Second stage AFTS has saved.
"10 seconds away from second stage engine cutoff.
Seco.
And SECO is confirmed. In about a minute, at a mission elapsed time of 10 minutes, 5 seconds, Dragon will separate from Falcon 9's second stage, and seconds later, Dragon will reach its preliminary orbit.
Acquisition of signal in Newfoundland.
Standing by for spacecraft separation. And Dragon is making its way away from the Falcon 9 second stage with the Earth limb in the background, headed toward its destiny and a rendezvous with the International Space Station on Sunday.
At 12 minutes into flight, the Dragon will deploy its solar arrays, and then after that begin a carefully choreographed series of Draco thruster firings to reach the space station.
Looking at the second stage engine, which did its job, and now a live view of controllers at the SpaceX Mission Control Center in Hawthorne, California.
Less than a minute away from solar array deploy.
Dragon makes its way away from the second stage. First part of its mission underway.
Dragon's propulsion system has successfully primed and all thrusters report ready for firing.
Standing by for confirmation of solar array deploy.
Expected loss of signal, Bermuda.
Expected loss of signal, New Hampshire.
Looking at live views from SpaceX Mission Control in Hawthorne, California. As a team that assisted in the launch today and is tracking the progress of Dragon,